Hi guys, it's Chill here. Welcome back to part 2 of What If Naruto is the oldest primordial god. Hope you all enjoy. Hestia opened her mouth to speak, and she started blushing after our eyes lock. She knows what I'm about to do. I lean in and kiss her on the lips. Instead of speaking word, my redhead moans from the kiss. And I can feel her sadness and depression disappear in that instant. Hestia-chan, my redhead beauty, always loves to be kissed on the lips. Percy POV. I open my eyes expecting that I might be in a hospital or something by the wreck. But I felt weightless, in a sense I was floating. So, I'm dreaming again. Am I going to dream about my mom being kidnapped, again? Wait, I'm a demigod now, so, demigod dream. Did that happen? All those myths say that heroes do have visions. Where is my mom? Is mom okay? Before I can continue or have a heart attack, a door opened and then I notice I was in a room, a beautiful large room with people. The person I focused on is the only man in the room, other than me. But this man felt strong and powerful, and I want to run away and hide. He felt strong, but he looked older, like in his 50s or late 40s. His hair was white and cut short. He has a well-grown build. He does look old, but he looks strong and powerful, but his eyes look yellow, maybe by natural light coming in from the windows. The two women walk into the room. The one that walks in first, well, I can't help but blush. The woman has long and beautiful orange hair that is border on red. Her skin is darkly tan. She definitely loves being out in the sun. Unlike everyone else who is wearing those old-timing ancient robes, she has vines growing all around her body. The vines are leaving nothing to the imagination. Even though she is showing off almost everything, she still has an air of confidence. A nasty thought popping my head: Smelly Gabe would definitely buy a messing with her on a front cover. But the nice thought is she feels motherly and kind. And that made me smile, pushing out that vomiting douching thought from my mind. The other woman walked in behind the orange redhead. Is a woman with black long hair, wearing one of those Asian dresses. But unlike the other woman, she looks sickly and on the brink of death. She looks so young, maybe in her 20s or something. It kind of made me sad about how sickly she looks. Is a pleasure to see you. How may I help you? The men spoke, walking up to them. The woman who is wearing leaves for clothes spoke. May we speak to your wife and daughter? Of course, let me call them. Even close his eyes for a second, and after a long moment, a bright light flashed before my eyes, making me shut them tightly. When I open my eyes, slowly see flashes of lights in my vision. I see a woman who is definitely the mother and the wife of the smaller girl who looks like hasn't been to kindergarten yet. The mother looks, of course, motherly. How she is standing holding the hand of a daughter and looks non-threatening and kind. She has green hair, the green color matching health-looking grass, with a tab of orange in it. She is wearing a white dress, with a deep V-neck, and cutting off in the mid-thigh. The small girl has red hair. The redhead is tightly shutting her eyes and with her free hand covering them. She is wearing a dress, but it isn't showing or anything, something normal for a girl her age. Or I think it normal for girls' age. I'm not a girl. The grown-ups then looked down at her, who is still shutting her eyes. The ladies of giggling and said stuff like, she's so cute, and you can open your eyes now. And more giggling. She opened her eyes slowly, blushing deeply at her embarrassment. But her action made me smile. After a long moment of these ladies trying to make themselves stop giggling, they pat her hand. They stop. But it looks like they can get in another giggling fit. Or at least trying to, because the redhead looks like she might die by embarrassment. Why do you want to see my wife and daughter? The man spoke up, getting the room's attention. Getting straight to the point, and no small talk. I thought we were family. The woman who is wearing a plant stated sadly, but she was joking. Sorry, the men said, you stop by in my free time. The sickly woman spoke up, we can come back later, but it will only take a second. No, please stay because we are family. And he got a smile from his wife by saying that. The sickly lady spoke up again, he is my son, so I want to make the proposal. The mother nodded, smiling like she knows and like where this is going. I don't know how you say this, but I would like my son whispering to marry your firstborn daughter whispering. The man, the father of his daughter, shakes his head and is about to say no, but his wife steps in shouting, we will love to accept your marriage with your son. She says, smiling like the world can do no wrong. Honey. His wife gave him a death glare and make him shut up. And I'm over here wanting to run away from him. She turned around to the other woman and asked, how are you making whispering getting married? It's simple. Whispering owed me a favor, and he always has a thing for redheads. For an instant, the mother looks sad about the mention of redheads. And the main reason is by the end of a decade I will have faded. When the sickly woman spoke that everyone looks at her, everybody looks surprised. Even the redhead looks up for the very first time in shock. XXXXX. I opened my eyes, even though I thought I had my eyes open. And saw I am in an entirely different place. Looking to the side, seeing my favorite teacher and a much older blonde boy. Mr. Bruner says when he notices I was awake, Luke, go get Annabeth. When I blink again, Luke was gone. Naruto POV. We both separated slowly, wishing we can do more. Hestia-chan spoke softly and sexy to my ears, you got something on your chin. Hestia-chan says, putting her hands under my chin and cleaning whatever it is with her thumb. Hestia-chan then put her entire thumb into her mouth and pull it out slowly with a soft moan. My experience screaming out is saliva. Most likely it's because I was using my tongue. When she finished her moaning, I asked, do you like it? No, I love it. Sadly, you better flash out, I don't want Luke catching us. And it will suck being caught making out with a goddess on your very first day. Hestia blushed crimson, thinking of something entirely different from what I said. But Hestia-chan cute, so cute when she gets jealous. She clears her throat and covers her face with an open palm. But I can see she blushed even more as she says, then can you tell me why Aphrodite got super excited and ran out of the throne room? She asked innocently, but her smile screamed pain. Oh. I begin slowly, Aphrodite, figure out that she can't control my love life. Okay, idiot, you know what she does to people she can't controls. She makes every girl in love with them. And she sits back and watches the fireworks. And I think when she shouted that, I have never seen her face gotten redder, in all these millenniums. And I think you remember the agreement the council made to Aphrodite when something like this happens, Hestia-chan said, looking dazed and a bit nervous, but in my eyes, she looks even sexier. I shook my head, sighing I think of something. Hestia leaned in and kissed me on the lips and flash out. A second later, after the light died down, I heard the door open. Naruto. Are you still alive in here? I smiled, picking up my kunai. Yep. I shouted, but I did have a couple of close calls. I stand up, flicking one on my finger. Wait, is that a kunai? Luke asks, unsure what the weapon call. I smiled, it is. I kinda wish you get something a little longer, Luke says awkwardly. I shrug, I just have a feeling. Luke nodded slowly and say slowly, I see. I nodded as I walk out of the shed full of weapons. I gave Luke a big smile, in a strong feeling to blush. But I hold that feeling in and say, so the arena now. Luke smiles evilly and says, don't get cocky. I shrug, I just have a feeling. Luke nodded slowly and say slowly, I see. I nodded as I walk out of the shed full of weapons. I gave Luke a big smile, and a strong feeling to blush. But I hold that feeling and say, so the arena now. Luke smiles evilly and says, don't get cocky. Naruto POV. Walking out of the shed into the bright sunny afternoon. It will be fun fighting someone like today. Your smile, do you have any fighting experience? Luke asks, looking behind at my smiling face. Yes, I do, so you better don't underestimate me. He laughs, and I hate to admit his laugh is cute. Good, you got lesson 1 down, lesson 2 is don't underestimate your opponent. Oh. Are you challenging me to a fight? I ask, but it's sounding like a demand, but by my short height, and if I was him, I will think it's cute too. So, he laughed. He sighed, as I ran up next to him. I guess I can give you a showing. Then what are we waiting for? I shouted as I started sprinting to the big stone building where everybody learned how to fight in the camp. XXXXX. I walk into the arena, I see a bunch of kids training and fighting each other in spars. At least at half of them, the other half look like they don't even want to be here at all. The half that is fighting and training look strong and very aggressive in their attacks. And the other half look like they will talk to their enemies, and afterward become best friends with them. There you are, Naruto, Luke said as he walked past me. It's not my cabin today, but I can spare you a lesson. Cabin? I asked. The cabins switch around the activities. The cabins in the arena for the afternoon are the children of Mars and the children of Aphrodite, he says, picking up a sword. I nod. It makes sense making them train together because they have opposite strength. Luke nodded as he lifts his sword in front of us. Out of the corner of my eyes, I notice almost everyone looking over at us. The children of Mars are excited to watch Luke fight. You can tell who their father is because they look tough and strong. And Aphrodite children, they look cute. Well, they are all cute, especially the girls. They all look over because they get to watch two cute boys fight, metal on metal. And the love goddess boys are not watching because they are not into that. I sighed. A world with gods and they still have fangirls. Just great. I pull out my kunai, one in each hand and the other one on my belt as a backup. You ready? I say, smiling, feeling my heartbeat raise. How long has it been since I've been in a fight? Century. We stand there, looking at each other as everybody comes around Luke and me, wanting a better view of our fight. It was silent. The only thing that can be heard is two girls talking and giggling about what they are seeing. But someone behind me coughs * and we both attack, trying to get close. Since Luke's weapon is longer, he attacks first, testing me with an undercut. I backstep with my left foot as the sword passed through the place I was standing. I took a step forward. I have a shorter blade. So, closer is better. I threw a feint at his face or a punch with something sharp in my hand. He instantly took a step back and slashed his sword down at my punching hand. I spend my kunai around, putting it in a reverse grip. I use my other kunai in my other hand as support, to reflect the incoming sword strike. hoping the vibration from the block made him drop his sword. He doesn't have a cute ribbon wrapping around his wrist. He didn't drop it, but he looked surprised. I have a strong feeling he is making a trap. But I don't care, I'm opposed to being 12. The supporting hand struck at his neck. I wasn't going to kill him. When I get there, I can just pull my arm in, by pushing my shoulder blade. But I never did. For a moment, I felt like I had no weight. Then I saw nothing but blue, and some flowing clouds. Ow, I moan. Luke laughs jokingly. You actually know how to fight, but you forgot one thing. I huff. The legs. You kick me. He nodded as he pulled me up from the ground. You know how to use your kunai, and you seem to have a muscle memory down for them too. So, continue practicing with them. He said, giving me a respectful nod. I gave him a smile and a nod in return. I wish I could add something to help you, but I feel like you were holding back. He laughed again. I can show you more later. He says, reaching out his hand for a handshake. I took it happily. Wait, I hope he is not one of the best swordsmen in the camp. I don't want fangirls. See you at dinner, and don't get yourself killed. He said, turning around and walking away. I turn around to a surprised and shocked audience. I smiled and shouted, who wants to fight me? Percy POV. Hi Mr. Brunner, I just have the weirdest dream, I say as I rub my head. My teacher smiles kindly. Can you tell me about it? I nodded slowly, scratching my head. Yeah, but my head is killing me. The stuff about you being a half-blood and my beautiful van being wreck is all true. I look at him dumbfounded. Am I still dreaming? How do you know my dream? Like I said, Percy, you are a demigod, and welcome to Camp Half-Blood. I nodded again. Go back to sleep. I think your demigod powers didn't kick in yet after we told you about being a demigod. I nodded, not in the mood to argue. But before I dropped myself on the pillow, I wanted to double-check, so I look down at Mr. Brunner's legs, and see him as a half-horseman. I have someone on their way that will fill you in on being a demigod. You can ask her questions, but she might ask you a lot in return. Her name is Annabeth. I nodded slowly and make my way down to the pillow. Naruto POV. A girl walks out of a crowd, looking like a torturer, and I killed her cat. In other words, she looks at me like she will give me the most painful death possible. I smile back at her. How about you introduce yourself? I'm new. Fine, she said, wrinkling her nose, making her look more like a boy, although I feel like in a different universe she actually might look like a cute girl. I'm Clarisse Rue, daughter of ours, and the one that will make you cry for your mommy. Oh. I'm Naruto. It's a pleasure to meet you, I say, giving the girl a happy-go smile. She growled like an angry dog and charged, holding up her spear. I use a blade of the kunai to push the spear off the path to my chest. I didn't stop it, I just push it out the way, letting the spear pass me. Clarisse, thinking she can play with me, did not stop or jump back. I instantly jump in, getting closer. I strike, trying to cut her cheek with my blade. Then she uses her spear as a staff and blocked my attack. Clarisse can use the hand of her little stick because I'm too close. And every time the daughter of ours jumped back to try to get some room, but I follow. After playing a little game of cat and mouse, the daughter of ours suddenly stops and smiles. I stop my swing in time to see her spear get covered with lighting coming from the actual spearhead. I jump back, seeing no other opening. That must be fun to play with, I said, smiling. Yes, it is fun to kill with it, and it was a gift from my father, ours. She says, smirking. I nodded at her statement. Yeah, in my case my weapon is a gift from my wife, but I'm not going to say that to the girl who is trying to stab me. She took a step forward, lunging at me. I jumped out of the way, smiling. Yeah, it might be a boring way to end a fight, but these are throwing weapons after all. So, I threw the kunai that is being held in my non-dominant hand. And the thrown kunai cut her cheek, leaving a slash of red. And afterward, I heard a thump of the kunai hitting into a wooded shield. She stopped for a moment, processing the feeling of pain on her cheek. After a moment she said angrily, "Coward." I tilted my head. Coward for what? Winning the fight. Because doing that is cheap. She says, shouting, getting ready to sprint back into the fight. Clarisse, can you please stop? I will love to have a turn with Naruto. A girl walked out from the crowd, wearing my kunai as a ring, and she walked in front of us. The girl who spoke sounded beautiful, and soothing at the same time, definitely a daughter of Aphrodite. The weird thing is Clarisse nodded dumbly and walked off. The beautiful black-hair girl turns around. She gave me a huge, lovely smile, and said, "You threw a knife at me, no worries. I forgive you." Then she gave me a wink and another cute smile. I smiled. I felt calm, like something clouded my head, making me feel happy. I hit where I was aiming, no worries, but sorry for making you scared. I smiled, giving her a wink. I don't know why, but it just felt right. Don't be sorry, you made my heart flutter, she says seductively, biting her lip and putting a soft and delicate hand over her beating heart. But in the background, some of her friends started giggling. Wait, is she flirting? That's new. Smiling, introduce yourself and we can get on with the spa. I am. The girl starts stuttering, but the way she does it seems super cute. She stops and took a deep breath in and out. She then has a confident feeling. I'm Drew Tanaka and it's my great honor to meet you, Drew said, biting her lip and rolling her eyes, not in a rude way but in a flirty way. You know my mother by how beautiful I am. And she begins again, but more excitedly, I will become the head of my cabin. I gave her a nod. Good to meet you too. For a girl to fight a boy with their own blade is, she mumbles quietly, it's so romantic. When the fight began, she was about 2 feet away from me, because she walks between my last fighter and me. And as we talk, she walks slightly closer. Before I can jump back to see her abilities in fighting. Yeah, I can jump to her and give her a mean punch in the face, but I want to see everyone fighting abilities. But before I can jump back, she spoke up softly, stop, and that's what I did. My brain, after I get out of my shock, instantly thinks of genjutsu. Stupid guidelines I made up. Drew took cute small steps forward. She got rectally in my face, but the funny part is she had to look directly up. When her face got close enough to mine, I can feel her warm breath huffing out of her mouth. She whispers softly, "Kiss me." Our lips were ready to feel each other, but I lean in to make the kiss official. I don't know why, but my mind was clouded. The only thought rain loud is I want to kiss the beautiful and hot girl standing in front of me. She moaned softly, and her lips were so soft. She closes her eyes softly, and what I can only guess is her getting on her tippy toes, by how she deepened the kiss. After a long moment of feeling her soft lips, we separated. She is not fantastic at kissing, probably because she doesn't have any experience in that, unlike my wife. And then a thought pops up, I took her first kiss, wait, she gave it to me, wait, crap. She looked up at me softly, utterly red in the face. She looked shocked and surprised, licking her lips absent-mindedly. She mumbled quietly, "Gods, one hell of a first kiss. She smiled. Do that again, at any time you want. I promise I will never bite. She whispered seductively in my ear. I blink. What just happened? I know Hestia is hitting her head and hating herself for liking what she saw. Hestia did have a weird mother, after all. The clouds started to blow away. Drop your weapon and surrender, Drew said nervously, realizing she kissed someone in front of 2 cabins. I blink and it didn't drop my weapons. I said drop your weapon and surrender, she said quickly, realizing she is losing her effectiveness over me. But this time instead of jumping back, I go in for a punch. But before I can hit Drew, she dropped down on her butt, and with a loud deep asterisk as she dropped down. I surrender, stop, she says quickly with her hands up and no kunai around her finger. You know you wanna win if you hold the kunai up to my neck before or after the kiss. Oh. I didn't think of that. She says softly, more to herself than anyone else. I reached out a hand and helped her up and I said then work on staying focused on your tasks, and your talky spell thing is good. If I am you, I will work on that. She took my hand in the way that only ladies do, and I pull her up, noting how light she is. Wait, you aren't mad about me using charm speak on you? Oh, that's what it is called. What I have seen is it's quiet and effective. Why will I be mad? Kunai was fear for a reason. Thanks, she mumbled quietly. Hey, Naruto, are you claiming? A much older girl shouted, walking out from the crowd. I shook my head and said no. She giggles, no worries, what I have seen you will be claimed soon, and since you're not claim, I will love it if you joined our team to capture the flag. I scratch my head, I'm new, introduce yourself please. She giggled again, sorry, I'm Silna Beauregard, daughter of Aphrodite, and I am the counselor of Cabin 10. I smile, what are the teams and who are you playing against? She smiled happily, knowing I bite the bait, we are going against Athena's, Apollo's, and Hermes' cabins. I nodded. Drew once again spoke up, hating to be out of the spotlight. We are fighting with Dionysius, Demeter, Ars, and Hephaestus, most importantly us as the Aphrodite cabin. Drew finished with a big smile. Let me think about it, I'm still meeting people. The 2 beauties both smiled. An Ars shouted, what you mean you most important, you'll never do anything. Then chaos happens. Silna sprinted out trying to keep the campers from killing each other, leaving me alone with Drew. I ask, does this normally happen? She nodded, yeah, but I don't want to break my nails. You might want to check them again, I said, laughing at her look when she realized. Short nails are good for fighting, they don't break. So, you like girls with shorter nails? She asked, looking up. I guess so. She smiled, good to know. Percy POV. Wait, your mother is a goddess. Don't be sexist, seaweed brain, goddess can cheat on their husband too, she said angrily, like I'm the problem. I raise my hands up in surrender. What happened when she first walked in? She was so happy and upbeat. What happened? So, who is your mother then? Athena, goddess of wisdom. Naruto did say she was one of his favorites. What? Why? She asks, starting to blush. It sounded like that happy mood was like when she first walked in. I don't know. He told me that after he spent the entire lunch period talking about how to do a pincer movement, I say not wanting to talk about it, it was boring and confusing. Her mouth dropped, and Annabeth froze up, looking like she is thinking hard about something. Annabeth, you, okay? I ask slowly, thinking I might have broken her. After a moment she blinks and says, sorry, Athena is also the goddess of war strategy. Then you must be really good at war strategy or something. She nodded happily. Yep, I am the daughter of Athena. Yeah, I say, feeling something odd in my chest. I never put any thoughts into who is my father, but now I want to know. Oh, look at the time, she said, looking at the clock. I promise my cabin mates that we'll talk about strategy for the next capture the flag, so I need to hang out, Annabeth says, walking out of the room. But before she left, she shouted over her shoulder, I will ask Luke to get you later, and you go back to sleep. She said all of that quickly as she walks out of the room. That was wielded, I mumble, shaking my head. Added, and gods can't just go around fighting random people and go on quests when they want. If they want to go on a quest, they must weaken themselves or turn off their domains. Or have their domain taken away from them. The ancient laws Naruto made up are there. So, the gods don't accidentally kill everything around them. Oh, look at the time, she said, looking at the clock. I promise my cabin mates that we'll talk about strategy for the next capture the flag, so I need to hang out, Annabeth says, walking out of the room. But before she left, she shouted over her shoulder, I will ask Luke to get you later, and you go back to sleep. She said all of that quickly as she walks out of the room. That was wielded, I mumble, shaking my head. Naruto POV. We do have some time before dinner. So, is there anything you haven't seen yet? Drew asks as she looks up at me. Yeah, I nodded. Annabeth took me around in a big circle. Annabeth. She says, sounding a little bit angry as she crossed her arms. But, how did you meet up with Luke? Luke came by and told her to go to the big house for something. I say, stunned, and then he finished my little tour around the camp. She nodded softly. You have any questions about Camp Half-Blood? Or asks something else, we are all alone. Drew says, unconsciously biting her lip and looking up at me through her eyelashes. You can help me with something. Yes, she said in a seductive and submissive way. As we are walking, she took a couple of steps closer to me. An easy distance to grab onto my right arm. And that's when I notice she is walking slightly behind me. She continued in a hussy whisper, ask anything and that will be my demand. I blush lightly, thinking back to when I first met my wife. We both knew one day soon we will be married. So, we didn't go around the bush about thinking the other is attractive. Hestia said almost the same thing as that when we first met. Now when I think about it, is the first time someone looks at me without fear in their eyes or without getting on their knees and starts worshipping me. Actually, on second thought, Hestia did get on her knees and start worshipping. But that was only after we got into a bathroom, the best meet and greet ever. And that dress slips off so easily. Naruto. And a girly giggle. What you thinking about? I blink a couple of times. Seeing a black hair girl standing in front of me, slightly bent over with her arms behind her back. She is looking straight up into my eyes, with a cute tint of red on her upper cheeks. What? Did you say something? She smiled. I ask, what are you thinking about? By the way, you just stop walking, and your cheeks turn red. I know you thinking of something dirty, and then she leans forward, much closer, and whispers the last part, I hope I was in it. Oh, I started awkwardly, scratching my head. Oh, you remind me of someone. Someone? She asked, smiling, who is the special girl then? I shook my head, get your mind out of the gutter, you are like 12. She laughed cutely. You are 12 too, and last time I checked girls mature faster than boys. So. So what? I asked demandingly, making her shut her mouth obediently, blushing crimson. The weird thing is I somehow like that look on Drew. I mentally sigh, my sensei teaching remains. Why did they hype me up for the CIA? Even the old hag liked the idea, they are all insane. Now I sigh for real, let's take a couple of steps back. She nodded, still looking down. You can point out the cabins, I did see them, but I don't know what god goes with which cabin. She smiled, knowing. So, are you saying you want me to show you my cabin? I want you to show me all of them, but, sure. Drew smiled hugely. She then grabbed my arm and pulled me to the cabins. She follows me out of the arena, so she can take a nap before dinner. But now, she is dragging me to each cabin. XXXXX. We walk in the gate and turn to the right, to the goddess's slide. Drew drags me over to the one that looks girly, with an elegant blue roof and pink curtains. This is the Aphrodite cabin. I can say it is the prettiest and cutest out of them all, and for you, it is open at any time. She says as she moved her to hold to my hand as we both stand there looking at the beauty of Aphrodite's cabin. I didn't fight back or pull my hand away. How soft and delicate her hand felt, like Hestia when we first got married and a couple of centuries after. And that one, she said happily, and a hint of shock in surprise. She pointed at the one covered in vines and grapes. That one is Dionysius or Mr. D. Wait, isn't Dionysius a god? Why is he on the goddess's side? I ask, wondering what the answer is. She smiles awkwardly, no clue. Thanks, you're super helpful. You're welcome, she says happily with a huge smile. Can you get on with it? I already met this guy. She nodded. Okay Naruto, follow me. We walked past a cabin that reminded me of the moon and was made entirely of silver. This is my least favorite goddess, so no introduction. I nodded. You are a daughter of the love goddess, I bet you guys don't get along. Yeah. Drew lightened her grip on my hand, but I felt too sad to pull away. She then says, going through a massive mood change, the Athena cabin is one of my favorites. What makes you say that? All the cabin looks the same, but they have their own unique look. She looks up at me and smiles softly. Having grey eyes are so hot. I guess you're right, I say, looking into her shiny eyes. I know I'm right, and everyone sees them as smart too. Yeah, but it's a lot of pressure to keep that act up. Millimeter. Drew hummed questionably. What about the cabin with the tree growing from the roof? Drew pouted. That's Demeter's cabin. Thanks a lot, and what about the next one? You wanna get rid of me? The girl asks, but it sounds more like a flirt or a joke. No, it is getting dark. I think, by now you are getting hungry. She looked down at her stomach. Thanks for reminding me. You're welcome. Okay, the next one with the purple door is Hera's cabin, and before you ask, it honorarily. And it a little bit show for my taste. And the next is, the king of the gods, Zeus's cabin, she says, rolling her eyes. I kind of get it. Zeus goes around having sex with everyone he wants. To a girl or a woman that would be insulting, but I would have thought a daughter of love might be okay with that. Guess not. The cabin that came next looked more moderate and smaller, at least compared to Zeus's cabin. It was made from a sea blue marble. And it has a strong smell of ocean around the cabin. The background scent smells a lot like Percy. I did know he is a son of the ocean. But my guess was a minor sea god, who got lucky with his powers. But one of the big three. Drew, this cabin smells a lot like Percy, I whispered, making Drew lean in, and I don't want the gods to watch this conversation. Drew didn't back away, she stayed close, almost leaning on me. Actually, feeling the weight, she is. What do you mean, smell like? It's something like you with the Aphrodite cabin. I don't put on that much perfume, at least the older girls haven't gotten to me yet. I shook my head, no, it's more like a background smell. What are you singing? Drew says in shock. Is it really that surprising? I asked her, and I notice that we are still whispering to each other. The big three made an oath. Frowning, for what? They will stop having kids. Why? I ask, puzzled. If the big three made an oath to not have any more kids, then why didn't STYX tell me before? I can get more panic. Drew spoke up. I think they did that after World War II or something about their kids getting too powerful. Why after World War II, or why then? I don't know, she said, shrugging cutely. I like pretty things. She stops for a moment, winking at me, and I don't like learning about boring old history. I nodded. It's fine, you've been super helpful. Drew blushes. Actually, when I think about it, Zappy did have a daughter. Drew asked, more to herself. So, I guess, that can happen. Thanks for the help. And for the fun of it, can you introduce the cabin to me? Drew smiled biggy and blushed. Yes, I can. Naruto meet Poseidon's cabin, and Poseidon's cabin meet Naruto. She finishes giggling at her own joke. I smile and laugh, pulling her alone to the next cabin. Dragging Drew behind me, I can almost see her smile and blush, and the emotion she is feeling is joy and excitement. I can hear her heartbeat and her blood flowing through her veins. I continue walking as she says, "That's Oz's cabin." She huffs out, sounding out of breath or hotly. We walk past the blood-red cabin. "And that one is Apollo's," Drew says, giggling. Her joy and excitement is addicting, and I need to drag her around. Too easy, I thought as we walk past the cabin made from gold. And what about this one? Oh, that one is Hephaestus. But I think he went overboard on making the roof random stuff. Drew said neutrally but in a sweet way. Overdone. I question, have you been paying attention? She ran up beside me and gave me a big nod and say, I have been paying attention. I smiled and rolled my eyes at her. The next one we might wanna stop and introduce ourselves, Drew says softly, pointing at the last cabin that looked like a normal oldest summer camp cabin. And because it had that normal look, it looks fantastic and unique. And why is that? I ask, but thinking I should have asked for some information from my beautiful and smart wife. Oh, since you didn't get claim yet, you are gonna be sleeping there, but don't worry, like my cabin leaders said, you will be claimed soon. She says quickly, like it is a mouthful. And why is that, I ask. Hermes is the god of travelers, so he allowed everyone to sleep there or something. I smile again. You are so helpful, I say to the now grinning girl. It's my pleasure, she says, blushing cutely. Now dragging me to the normal-looking cabin. Hey, what are you two doing here? Someone shouted behind us. Drew stops and waves with the hand that I'm holding, or she also holding my hand too. What's up, Annabeth, out for a walk? Annabeth asks, are you opposed to be training with your cabin and ours cabin for the afternoon? Yes, I am, but when I learn that Naruto did not get a proper showing of our beautiful camp, I can't help but help him. She said, finishing off with a cutely wink to Annabeth. Annabeth looks frustrated and confused at our hands. I am never good with girls, but I can guess from my old sensei teaching, that she is jealous. But for what? Annabeth begins cutely, Naruto, can you go and introduce yourself to Hermes' cabin? I will love to talk with your Shafa. Okay then. Drew and Annabeth don't try to kill each other, I say smiling, turning around, and letting go of her hand. I guess I was holding it in a way. Annabeth POV. We both stand there watching the blonde walk up to the cabin and knock. And someone answered it and let him in, and he nearly fall down by the magic in the door frame, labeling him not a son of Hermes. Well, that one hypothesis threw out of the window, I mumble quietly. Naruto and the one who opened the door both laugh about it. After a moment would look like they are shaking hands and introducing themselves, and then the door shut. I turn my head to Drew. She looks as stunning as ever. She looked up at me as well and our eyes met. I cough to break the ice, but before I can say anything Drew spoke up. Sorry but not sorry, Naruto is mine. I did something that I hate. I talk without thinking, I met him first, so no, Naruto is mine. She smiled, crossing her arms together. Oh, that's right. I smiled, thinking she understands, and gave me the easy win, but she continued, so did he hold your soft and delicate hand? I shook my head and said no. I can feel my emotion flaring up. I never like that type of emotional state of mind, it makes you think stupidly and emotionally. And I know how I say no was filled with anger and jealousy, thanks for my emotion clouding my judgment. She shook her head softly. Sorry, that was uncalled for. My mind froze, that was a shock. Don't look at me like that, she huffs. I guess we both needed that, that hand holding. I stop and think, and said slowly, your apology is accepted. She smiled and reached out her delicate and small hand for a handshake. I can't help but look at her hand, and her wrist looks red like somebody was grabbing it hard. Then I will realize why it looked red and my cheeks felt hot. So, I am blushing at the thought. So aggressive, I whispered, wanting to shiver. She nodded, yeah, he's so hot, so rivals. I look at her hand and arm again. I smiled and I shake her hand, and that warmth. Like I'm sitting next to one of the campfires around the camp. I nodded, then don't disappoint me, my rival, then I giggled. And that little sound made the girl I was handshaking blush and giggle as well. We both started giggling and then laughing at the whole thing. Rivals by love, for Naruto. It's an odd idea, but it sounds fun as well. That sounds so romantic, and... She started licking her lips sexily, giving me goosebumps. And Naruto kissed me on the lips, so I'm up by 2. I don't know why I blush at the image of another girl kissing Naruto. Who is keeping count? I shouted at the daughter of love and beauty, and sex. But the odd thing is, I like that naughty image. Naruto POV. Okay men, it's your first day at camp, and you already getting sick. I shook my head and said, I never get sick, someone is just talking about me. He laughed. So, we have a popular one here. The other cabin mates laughed at the joke, but as soon as the moment passed, they all returned to their depressed and sad looks. I ask, what is so depressing? I'm starting to wish we talk more about what is going on up on the surface instead of lovemaking. But, you can't say no to that. But I wish I had more information. Being a ninja, knowledge is half the battle. How can I be this stupid? Everybody here hasn't been claimed yet, he says sadly. On second look, the kid who opens the door to let me in is the oldest out of the bunch. Oh, my bad, I say arguably. Don't worry about it, he slapped me on my shoulder. You are new, and we all went through that. And don't forget about your amazing showing in the arena. How do you know that? It happened not that long ago. He laughs again. If you live in the Hermes cabin as long as you pick up a lot of stuff. He finishes smiling, like a sample answer explains everything. I nodded dumbly right. Let's skip the small talk for later because you got 2 girls waiting outside for you. I nodded. We don't have enough bunk beds, so sleeping bag for you. I nodded again, but I say, you mind if I sleep on a hammock on the front porch? Go for it, it's better than sleeping on the floor, but you might want to ask Luke first. Thanks, I will keep that in mind, I say smiling. And a word of advice, Hermes is also the god of thieves. So, you've been warned. He says smiling like he can do anything wrong. Thanks for the warning. Now go, you can't keep the 2 girls waiting for you, he said, pushing me out of the cabin. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed.